diverse experiences and diverse understandings of the matter, not just related to one socio-economic bracket, but in fact looking at not just Pakistan, but the region and of course the world at a larger stage. So first and foremost, please join me in welcoming the Pro-Rector Academics at NUST, Dr. Usman Hassan, to please join us in the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, please put your hands together to welcome the Program Director of USEFP, the Fulbright Commission, Salim Abdul Razak Sahab. May I also take this opportunity for inviting the Head of Education at the British Council, Sarah Pervez. And last but definitely not the least, the gentleman at the helm of the affair. Please put your hands together to welcome the Chairman of the Higher Education Commission, Pakistan, Dr. Mukhtar Ahmed. So I will request you all to switch on your mics once we take the question, but otherwise if we keep them all switched on, they might give us a little bit of feedback. Feedback is always welcome from our distinguished audience and guests. The format would be that we'll dive into a conversation for about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll also be taking questions from our audience in the hall as well as our virtual audience. So let's get this party started. Dr. Saab, if I may begin with you. A number of people would say and point out that HEC went through a number of transitions, and when it was formed and founded with the core belief that Pakistan needs more higher education institutions, and in order to facilitate that, some standardization needs to happen, some protocol has to be set. Where does Pakistan stand in this endeavor in 2023?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Sidra, and thank you, Sarina, for giving us this opportunity. You're right, in 2002, when HEC was created, we were given three main challenging objectives: that we have to address the issue of access and equity, we need to go for quality assurance, and the third one was the relevance, whatever we are doing in higher education, what is the relevance of that, all those things in Pakistani environment and the international environment basically. Let me share you a few statistical numbers that where we were there at that time and where we are right now basically. When we started, the equity part, access and equity part, if we'll take both of them simultaneously, the tertiary education access rate at that time in 2002 was 2.1%. What does it mean? That people in the age group of 16 to 23, which need to be mostly probably in the higher education sector, out of 100 eligible people, only 2% were getting opportunity to get education, higher education in Pakistan. And within 2.1%, the equity part, the gender balance basically, because we are almost 50-50, 49, 51, 50-50, female and male population. But at that time, it was a skewed scenario that 32% female population in our higher education sector and 68% was the male-dominated population in higher education sector. After this 22 whatever years we have passed and tried to do something good for Pakistan, and as you rightly said, ups and downs were coming and there were so many challenges every time, but alhamdulillah, this sector has delivered as far as the number is concerned basically. Today we are touching 12% of the tertiary education rate, which is still a long way to go because when we are comparing, when we are giving reference to Korea, which is 98%, somewhere 98%. And even in a neighboring country, they are already in 2 digits before us. So today we are touching the excess of 12% almost, and the good news is that the equity part, it is almost there, 48 to 52.
Okay.
The female population in higher education is coming in a big way. That is a very good news for the society, for the country like Pakistan, that 50% of our population has decided to come into the mainstream and also to work for the socio-economic development of this country. So this is a very good news as far as the Pakistan is concerned. If you ask me that where we are standing today, we should have been in a better position.
Right.
So many pluses and minuses. Sometimes, I get myself confused that why we have to tell people that education is important. Why do rest of the world has to come here to help us that, spend on education? Because in your initial talk, you said that primary and middle education, of course, it is total education which is being ignored in this part of the world. Not only my brother, our Excellency Ambassador of Morocco is sitting in the Maghreb here. So I have the opportunity of working from OIC as the operation head in Islamic world. In whole Islamic world, we are facing almost similar problem as far as the education is concerned.
But if I was to pick exactly that point and bring it to you, Salim Saab, excellent initiatives on behalf of the Fulbright Commission and the Chevening Scholarships and other programs that allows an inclusive approach at the world stage. I'm often left wondering, just as Dr. Saab was pointing out, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and several other places which are low populated, but of course have more monetary resources, we see a number of international universities interested in setting up campuses there. Why is that case not happening for Pakistan that has a huge population? Why aren't the American universities thinking about putting up a campus in Pakistan?
Very interesting question. First of all, thank you very much for inviting and letting me represent Fulbright Commission here in Pakistan. Why American universities are not coming to Pakistan? If we go by the business model, not only the American university not coming to Pakistan, but you can imagine that although there are a lot of way more than higher education institutions, even in India, but universities are not interested in going to India as well. American universities, there are very few universities, those who are trying to have their satellite campuses, one or two from the US, but not necessarily. If we go by the business model, and then again, our higher education, which is, Dr. Mukhtar has rightly said, is improving every day. So far, we are in a very good position, but down the road, 5-10 years, we can see that different US universities coming for their satellite campuses to the Pakistan.
Mm-hmm. And when you say that the situation is improving, I've spent the last 1 month in Canada, and it was a study conference, and there was this one particular exchange that has stuck with me. We were speaking to the representatives of a trade union, and they had, their grievances with the corporations over there, why they're stuck at the minimal wages and people are not coming up. And he pointed out, and he was pointing out to the big gap they had in the medical and the nursing staff area. There were about 4,000 vacancies just in the province of Alberta. And he pointed out and said something really pertinent. He's like, countries like us, we have the money. If we want the COVID vaccine, we'll get it. And then the other countries, the big populated, smaller economies are going to suffer. Likewise, if we want nurses, if we want paramedics, and if we want doctors, they will come and they will work for us. They will move and migrate to greener pastures, which is what is happening in our country right now. And it is the country that has produced these professionals that is going to suffer. Sir, I want to bring this one to you. Whatever resources we've had, we produce the best human resources given our circumstances, and these young people are now preferring to move abroad. Is that a problem?
Tell you honestly, Sidra, we shouldn't stop people to go anywhere. We have huge number of population. Why don't we produce them for international market? I think we should be proud of. I was actually doing a program with medical doctors, and in the discussion I was told, and I was very happy to know, that our medical professionals are considered to be one of the best around the world. They are considered to be best in America and UK and performing at a very, very high pace. So whatever they study in Pakistan is actually applicable. They have to appear for certain exams. That's fine, good enough. They go, they do these exams, they appear in, internationally, and when they get appointed, their huge they earn huge amount of money as a professional doctor because of their their training as done in Pakistani hospitals. So it came as a surprise to me that I always thought that our own medical problems exist. So, but our doctors are performing really well in other countries. And is that really, suffering for us? But the thing is that we should be proud of them because they are actually doing a very good job. And we still have a huge amount of population. Dr. Abdul has very rightly mentioned 12%, but it is still 12%. What about the rest of 88%? How do we manage those young people? Why don't we bring them on board and prepare them for international markets? So that's, I think, we shouldn't worry about that. Instead, we should focus more on improving the quality of education which is being provided in our universities here, and improve that in a manner that they become international levels, international standards. And I would also like to comment on your question about why universities are not interested in setting up campuses here. I think that there will be a time when they'll be very interested in setting up campuses here. They are very keen to come over. We're helping them. But the challenge right now for us is that we have to come up with a mechanism to ensure that the quality of education provided in a university and on a campus, it should be very much equivalent to how it is provided in host country. It should not be different from a campus in New York or a campus in UK. So the universities may be interested to come and set up campuses here at certain point of time. We have other problems, not touching upon security and political instability as sort of a matter of fact. But there are very different ways of delivering a higher education nowadays. Open and distance learning, transnational education. All of these areas are those areas where we can focus on. People sitting in Pakistan can earn a degree from an international university. However, what we really need to make sure is that quality of that degree and importance of that degree it should be equivalent to what it is like as earning in a campus experience.
Very true, very true. And I want to take this one to Dr. Osman. Dr. Osman, not only the international big names, wanting to come up and set up campus here, but even universities like NUST, which is an absolutely excellent institution. I was recently there as you were doing one of the corporate collaborations for research and development with Dollins and their parent company in Turkey. And I realized why and how much of a strong belief they have in the human resource and the academics of Pakistan. But whenever there is a list going around of the top universities in the region, in the continent, Pakistani universities don't fare too well, or they don't make it to the top 100 list. Why do you see that is happening?
I completely agree that we are not in the top 100 list, but mashallah, we are progressing very well. If you see, Quaid-e-Azam is one of the top universities, progressing very well. NUST is doing also good. We have to realize that, our real journey in terms of university education started after the establishment of HEC. That is just like we have a life of about 20 years. Before that, I was going to university. We had very few PhD doctors in the university, especially in the engineering schools. There was no talk about research. We were not offering so many postgraduate programs. So we just started 20 years ago. And mashallah, Dr. Mukhtar would endorse that. In the last 20 odd years, we have been able to almost multiply the number of universities by 5 to 6 times. Our research profile has gone enormously, well in the last few years. Now, what's missing right now is the impact of that research. So there's a time to learn how to do research. We have kind of reached that stage. Now we have to go beyond that part, and we have to make a local impact. We have to connect with the industries. We have to make sure that our students get an experiential learning through the process of education. And this is not only going to bring revenue, it's going to make a local impact. People are going to start citing our work. So we have to focus now on the quality of research. And HEC is giving us those policies. As I foresee, as the things are progressing, I mean, we are really leapfrogging in terms of, the impact that the universities are creating. And in the next decade or so, I see a lot of universities coming up, and we would be reaching the top 100 list as well.
But there is also a lot of conversation around the cost of going for higher education, especially within the country as well. As a leading institution, would you say your admissions policy is inclusive? As anybody and everybody has a fair chance of getting into the university? Would you say that?
If I just talk about NUST, we have a very pure merit-based system. So if I just share some statistics with the audience here, you would be surprised to know that NUST, which is one of the top universities of the country, 60% of our students have their family income less than 60,000 rupees.
Right.
So this is the economic strata of the society that we are targeting, because these kids are brilliant, so they make the cut just because they are brilliant and they enter the university. Similarly, other universities are also doing great in that context, but we need to reach out to the remote areas of Pakistan. And if you ask me, I think technology can play a big role in that regard.
Very true. And what about other parameters? And you're the only university here, so I have to direct all these questions to you.
Sure.
You're a science and technology university, so what is the gender balance like? And what is being done to maintain equity and inclusivity there?
You see, our distribution is 70-30%, so it's 70% males and 30% females, just because we are a STEM university. But if you look at our programs that we are offering in the context of arts and design, our social sciences, the balance is on the other side. So, we have 80-90% female students entering those programs and less male. So it really depends. The numbers are increasing. And as we have seen, our top merit positions are usually, they are held with by the female students. So it's very encouraging.
So that's very encouraging. Salim Saab, similar question to you. Out of the pool that applies Fulbright scholarships, I see an increasing demand when it comes to women students who would like to pursue PhDs and postgraduate programs. What do you think has caused that shift to happen? What has been the catalyst there?
Girls are, and I have to admit that, more intelligent and hardworking than the boys. I'm sorry, boys.
Well, I graciously accept the compliment.
Myself, as a student, there were so many other things, so many other distractions, and boys are still going through that phase, I believe. So girls are they are more intelligent, more hardworking. And the other thing is, I want to share some stats here as well from the Fulbright, that for last 7 years, our Fulbright cohort, which is consistent of 200 students this year, it's more than 50% female students in all fields. And we really feel proud in declaring that. And for there is another program that we are administering for the undergraduate students. This program is for the students, those who are already enrolled and they are going for 1 semester exchange program. It's also a scholarship program. And in that program, we have more than 65% female ratio. So it's somewhat in the beginning, it was by design as well, because we were giving some extra points to the girls.
I want to pick on that. Unfortunately or fortunately, it is creating a public perspective. The other day, a friend of mine was able to get through and got a scholarship through the Fulbright program. And the reaction she got was, "Haan, ladki hai na, isko to mil jayega." So, and then you mentioned by design as well. What's that design like?
Initially, that's what I said. Initially, maybe 7-8 years ago, the design was that when we do outreach every year, we go to the different parts of the universities, different parts of the Pakistan. We try to cover as many parts of Pakistan as possible. So when we started as outreach 7-8 years ago, we targeted women universities.
Okay.
Women University in Peshawar, Women University, Fatma Jinnah here, and we started, whereas we were making 2 or 3 visits in each university every year, for the women universities we were making 5 or 6 visits every year. So we started from there, and then we encouraged students, and then we started another scheme for the students, female students in the beginning, back in 2013. But we were distributing vouchers, GRE vouchers. GRE is an expensive exam, and it's a mandatory exam for Fulbright. So we were going to these women universities, And we are taking a mock test there from the girls. And the girls, those who were top 3 girls, those who scored, those in the top 3 bracket, those 3 were presented the free vouchers for the GRE. So that's how it started. But now, purely on merit, I can vouch for that, purely on merit. A number of applications we receive every year from the girls is higher, but their selection, their interview, it's merit-based, open competition. Having said all that we have done, whatever we, for last couple of years, they are selected on merit, purely on merit now.
Okay, one more phenomena that we notice is, of course, people who are in the business of education, and this is the private sector, there will, of course, need to be a business model and a model which is sustainable. Dr. Saab, a lot of new universities have come up in the urban areas, but how inclusive is it for the rural areas, and especially provinces like the far-flung areas of Balochistan? What kind of opportunity is there available for them?
Before I answer this question, let me add that about the gender balance and equity part, I'm worried that in the next couple of years we might have to reserve seat for boys.
I already heard that was happening in medical colleges.
There was discrimination basically, yes. So that is one aspect. This is a healthy sign of competition, and females are coming and they are very, mashallah, hardworking. Answering your question, I know that business model for the private sector is only, they go in the big cities, and by the way, in Pakistan in the beginning, the cluster of universities were mainly in 4 or 5 cities, Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Karachi, Quetta, Peshawar, and Lahore.
And 12 big cities. We can include Faisalabad and Multan and the others in it.
We added more cities, like Multan and other areas also. But this was state responsibility because these are our kids. We have to teach them. We have to educate them basically. So in my last term when I was here as chairperson in 2014-18, during that time the project was launched to reach to the doorstep of the people. So that we should reach in those areas where, number one, of course, financially, those parents cannot afford to send their daughters, especially to big cities. Number two, there was a social issues that they don't want to send their daughters, especially to big cities and in mixed kind of environment. So Government Pakistan launched a project that we need to reach to the doorstep of the, especially for female folks.
Right.
And I think during that time we were able to create 61 sub-campuses in those remotest areas, starting from Balochistan, you said, in Wad area, and even at the border of Iran, Pakistan, we established the Women University campus there. Similarly, if you go toward Gilgit-Baltistan, in Fata area, in Kashmir area, right at the border, in Haveli campus we established. And mashallah, the population is growing very fast there. And you know, it was very heartening to note this time when I came back in one of those remotest area, the campus was doing the graduation, and they asked me that, because you initiated this thing, why don't you come and meet our guest during this convocation? And mashallah, there were almost 60% female in that sub-campus. And I met with so many parents, believe me, they were saying that if it was not facilitated, if this campus was not set up here, our daughter should have not gotten this chance. And now, mashallah, in each house, they have at least one graduate. And this means one family is, mashallah, they're getting opportunity to grow.
Absolutely.
So these type of initiative we have to take. The government has taken initiative. Now even private sector is coming in a big way, and we must encourage private sector because government only cannot afford, or they cannot do the whole this education cost.
And are there any incentives, like when you have a territory that doesn't have a higher education institution, has the HSE earmarked some of these territories and regions? Is there further incentive by the government or by the HSE for the private sector to step into these domains?
See, one thing we have to understand, education is industry. Education has become industry, and we have to accept
Very
that.
true.
And private sector is in a big way coming in the education sector, but still, there are few, like at the moment, if we look at compare, there are 250 universities almost. 150 are public sector, around 100 are in private sector. But if you look at the strength of the student in the university system, 30% are in private sector, 70% are in public sector institution. And if you look at the subject matter, basically, the private sector only come in the market-oriented subject. They will go in business, they will go in engineering, they will go in medicine, they will go in these type of field where they have IT and these type of things. But because it is a social responsibility and also responsibility of state, the public university, they are offering all kind of social science subject, different other professional subject, agriculture and these type of things. So public sector has to come forward and lead
Very
from
true,
the front.
very true.
Private sector also need to come, and we are treating them equally as far as the opportunities are concerned, as far as the facilitation is concerned. And that is why you can see a lot of private university coming in Pakistan. The issue is only that sometimes it is a debate that I think the government or HEC is putting extra kind of barriers for the private sector. It is not like that. We only have issue when RTs are coming in education. I don't have any problem as far as the businessman is concerned. They are welcome to come in higher education sector. But when the RD come, they just match the rokra milate and all. So there is the problem, and then we are having this quality issue in higher education. That's why we have to be tough little bit.
But you know, the courts in Pakistan had to take a notice of the private schools' fee structure. Is there any input given by the
We are
HEC?
not, basically, you have to ask a question to me about universities. So in the university system, yes, we do have a mechanism.
That's what I was coming to.
Otherwise, I know that even the schools are charging more than universities are charging. Per month's fee is more than in some schools. I think the.
But do you keep a capping for the universities?
Yes, we do have a mechanism. No, it is basically market decide the demand and supply type of relationship. But we have to understand also that higher education is an expensive proposition. It is not.
In fact, I want to take this one to Sara. Sara, other than the scholarships and the scholarships available at universities, UK happens to be one of the most favorite destinations for students in Pakistan and for families to send their students there. But with the way our economy is going through this crunch and the rupee is devaluing, what has been the impact on the number of students leaving for UK?
I think that the number of students will be surprised to know that it has actually increased towards UK in recent years, but main reason was because there was very friendly UK visa postgraduate policies which were offered. So in a way, if you are a student in a UK university, you get a 2-year post-study work visa, which became one of the biggest reasons for increase in number of students moving to UK in UK universities. Now, I mean, completely understand the, sort of economic factors and how it has impacted on decisions, because the UK fees are definitely very high. Even then, there are a large number of, scholarship opportunities available. It is still, as compared to other countries, UK's master's is 1 year. So if you compare, sort of for a cost of a 2-year master's program in another country, it somehow gets subsidized. So there are various factors which have contributed, and the reason why UK is one of the sort of favorite destination, it has been on the top for a very long period. But then the trend was going downward for a very long time because of very strict visa regimes. Now it's changed again, and it is improving. It is still not on the top, by the way. So we're not on the top of international students. We are behind, sort of China and Australia. Australia is coming up in a big way. So the thing is that there are factors which are important for consideration. Scholarships is one way of getting there, but even then, if I would say in Pakistan, people do have interest and people are interested in investing in education. So for a parent to decide for their children to go abroad, it's actually their investment in their future. And as my parents also decided, sort of, I didn't get a chance because I had passed that age. But my siblings, when my parents could afford, they managed to send them abroad to get their education. So I think it's important, and there is realization. So people are interested in, sort of utilizing the family resources to get their children educated. The important thing is that how inclusive those opportunities are, and how are we reaching out to a larger number of audience. So it's not just an elitist phenomenon. We need to reach out, and you'll be very happy to know that British Council does one of the very good things we do, is that we do not manage all the scholarships ourselves. British Council will be managing Chevening Scholarship for the UK government, and we do support Commonwealth and, sort of fellowship programs under Commonwealth and Charles Wallace Trust fellowship programs. But what we do is that we bridge these universities who are interested in offering these spaces. So universities like Edinburgh University, Queen Mary University of London, they offer a large number of scholarship schemes. Coventry University is one of the universities which has placed an offer that if a student can pay for their own living expenses, they are very willing to waive off the complete tuition fee for the research degree programs. So the point is that there are a large number of opportunities. I think that the missing link is that our students do not get to sort of find that information. So what we're doing is, through our international student mobility team, we are running these sessions in various universities. So my team goes out to various universities in all cities. So they were in Faisalabad, in Agriculture University, they were in BUTEMS, and they were in Balochistan University. They set these sessions and share these information about these opportunities across the world, and especially in the UK universities where students can apply for.
So you see that the gap exists, that there are so many opportunities and the students never find out about it.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Dr. Sabi wanted to add something.
Just a few comments here, adding whatever Sarah was saying. No doubt British Council is doing a wonderful job in Pakistan, and we have a very good team there. But we have to see the whole holistic approach, what is happening and why there is so much migration, and there are 100,000 of students every year they are going abroad. This is not an indicator that we don't have good quality education in Pakistan. It is not like that. I can challenge that in higher education sector, in our universities, undergraduate especially, program, and to some extent master level program, we are at par with the best of the best in the, especially some top university like NAS, Qajar University, and many universities in Pakistan. The issue is the kind of environment created in this country at the moment, last couple of years. Everybody is just taking an opportunity, and this is the easiest way to get out and get the immigration and settle there for the green pasture. So we have to understand it is not only the quality. Yes, if somebody will ask me for PhD, no doubt, we still have to go a long way. PhD quality of America or Germany or UK for that program, another European country, and Australia and Canada, they are far better. That our own PhD in Pakistan, we still have to go along.
Dr. Saab, if I may pick up on that thread.
But the point is, we have to understand this scenario, that why it is like that. Somebody was telling me in last 2 years, around 400,000 students, they applied for different student visa, and they were going. And if you can check the data, they are mostly undergraduate. Mostly undergraduate. Because they know that we'll go and jump into good environment. And this is another reason we have to address in Pakistan, to give enabling environment to our youth, so that they should study, they should learn, they should, especially female folks and others. Because the outside, what is there? They have a very good ecosystem they have created. They have created an enabling environment in the universities, where anybody with any color, any creed, any religion, they can go and study with their own choice. Here we have some problem basically, especially females, they are still facing a lot of problem in our system, that they can get an enabling environment in our university system. And we have so many challenges.
Absolutely. If I may pick on that, even the subject of education needs to be looked at with a futuristic aim. Dr. Osman, if I may bring this one to you. What do you think would be the future of higher education? Your university is focused on STEM subjects, and people are already talking about the new technology, especially AI, is going to make a lot of jobs redundant, and it will eat up careers like anything. That's a fear that already exists. What about education? Already the young people in the country, they find that through temping, through gig economies, and through social media and a YouTube channel, they can earn so much. And you see young people debating whether they need to go to college at all. What's going to be the future?
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question in these times. AI is going to have a big impact on all, industries and everywhere, but especially on education. It's all going to be about skill set. That's going to be very important in the coming years. In that regard, we are already thinking on the lines of developing micro-credentials. So these could be just small courses that we offer. They are very quick. They are going to be equipping the students with certain skills, and they would be complementing what you have attained through your university education. Right. And the idea is that you can also combine those micro-credentials and make a degree at the end as well. So we are working on those lines. Online education is going to play a big role here. There are AI technologies that are integrating with online education tools very fast, and they are going to be very helpful. You can have personal tutors. So the universities have to adapt. And as if you ask me, my personal take on this would be that I think that in the next few years or so, 50% of the universities in the country would survive how things are moving along. Right. So we have to, right now, you have to plan accordingly. We have to adapt to the new technologies. As you already mentioned very rightly, that the companies are now looking for skills, not the degrees.
And what happens for the future? Salim Saab, if I may bring this one to you, even right now, the students who go for Fulbright scholarships, it is my understanding that you ask them, you make it necessary for them to come back to the country, serve and work here, teach here, whatever they want to do for a certain period of time. Have you conducted any study understanding what happens after that time has ended, after they have completed their 2 years of serving in Pakistan? Do they still choose to stay here? Do they want to go abroad? What do their careers look like?
I can share a stat with you here as well. That thank God, although they need to come back and serve here in Pakistan, you are absolutely right. If they are going on a Fulbright, be it master's or PhD. So after completing the residency requirement, our return rate is 98.6 to be precise. 98.6% students do return to Pakistan. 1.4% over this period of a decade or so, we lost due to some medical reasons or some other reasons. And out of those 98% students, those who return to Pakistan, 85% of them are still working here in Pakistan, even after completing their 2 years residency requirement. So people, because during those 2 years, they've been doing something, although if they couldn't find a job in private sector or public sector, they started their own startups or they were doing something. So 85% of them are still here in Pakistan, contributing towards the development of Pakistan. So it's a very good sign. People do want to come back, people do want to serve here, although everybody is absolutely right here. There are so many opportunities outside. Youth especially wants to go outside, explore the world, explore the different avenues. But again, after even those who went outside for greener pastures, after 5, 6, 7 years, they did come back to Pakistan and serve here.
And what would you say about those who are not very academically inclined? Just as we were discussing, there's so many of these students who are wanting to go abroad so that they can somehow get naturalized there and start a different living. We know of so many people who go to the tier 2 or the tier 3 American universities, not through any program, but on their own, and they just use it as a passport to move abroad, and they drop out. They don't even finish their degree programs. What's the percentage or any insights over there, Salim Saab?
That is, for me, it's difficult to say what's the percentage of those students because they go independently. Maybe there is some report of students going on an F1 visa, whether they are coming, because they don't have any liability to return to Pakistan. Right. So it's up to them. But honestly, talking about the job market in the US, it's not that easy. Dr. Usman is absolutely right. It's the skill set that employer is looking for. Yes. Not there in the US or everywhere else in Europe, but here in Pakistan as well. It has started. The degree does matter, but skill set is becoming more important these days. Very
true. Same question to you, Sarah. Just like Fulbright has a 98% rate of students returning and an 85% scholars choosing to work and stay in Pakistan, what is the Chevening scholarship numbers looking like?
So the Chevening scholarship has been focusing a lot on bureaucracy. And those who have gone on achieving scholarship are mostly secretaries, so they have a permanent job here. So they are coming back on a very frequent, it's not that they're staying back. So Jeevning is a scholarship which is of master's level and usually requires 2 years of work experience. So these are not people who are looking for to live in the UK after they complete their program. They do come back. They have to come back as part of their bond, and they do come back and they serve in Pakistan mostly in the government sector. With respect to many other scholarships, I know that people are very interested to stay back in the UK, but UK itself is a country which is so expensive that people in UK have actually preferred to come back, have served. What we have done recently, not recently but throughout, we have done a huge number of alumni engagement. And we have worked a lot with those who are returnees from various scholarship schemes, so Commonwealth scholars and Jeevning scholars. When they come back, we work with them and we engage with them and help them professionally grow and find jobs. And there are some challenges, of course, having lived in a country abroad for a year or so, getting back into the host country or their own home country, getting adjusted to the environment, back to the environment, and missing out on those international and diversified living standards. There are challenges, but we do work with them, and the number of course, bringing in a Jeevning scholarship adds into their profile, and hence they get very good jobs already. So we do keep in contact, and we have a very stringent alumni engagement strategy.
And I know for a fact that even online people had a lot of interest, and you said that there is a gap, so I'm going to use the opportunity of having Salim Saab here and yourself here. When is the next cycle beginning for those of us who are here and who are watching us online? What are the deadlines, the timelines for application? When do you select, and what is the process like, if you may?
So the Jeevning, I think it's in the process of, currently we are in a transition phase. So British High Commission has been managing Jeevning scholarship for few years, and it will be shifted back to the British Council, but the change will happen by next year. As of now, I'm aware that the interviews are in process and applications were open. What we can do is we can certainly share more information with you on your networks, and of course this information is shared very widely anyway. But I think most important thing is that when we do those alumni engagement sessions and when we do the student engagement sessions through our teams, it's very important to prepare, because to prepare for Jeevning, you actually need a year-long preparation, looking at the universities you want to go to, looking at the programs, the application itself, preparing for the interview, everything. So I would recommend that information about all those alumni engagement events, student engagement events will be shared with you on your networks and can be circulated more.
Just one clarity question. As you said, it's a year-long process. Is Jeevning conditional to an existing offer by a UK university? Does the process begin with you applying for admissions first and then applying for Jeevning, or how does it happen?
No, it's not conditional. So you can actually apply for a scholarship and then look for universities, but it strengthens your application because the competition is huge. So if you already have an offer and you apply for a scholarship and you make that business case when you prepare for an interview, it strengthens your application.
Okay, got it. And same question to you, Salim Saab. What is the process like for becoming a Fulbright scholar? I know it is offered in diverse fields. It is not specific to any one particular area of study. How does it work? If you could tell the process in a nutshell.
Our cycle starts in January, but it takes almost a year and a half, because now in January 2024 we are going to announce the program for fall semester 2025. Right. April would be the deadline, submission deadline for the applications, and then the applications go into review process and the interviews. Right now we are planning starting next month the interviews for the 2024, the year 2024. So process starts in January, then April will be the deadline. And Fulbright, yes, you are absolutely right. Fulbright is not specific to any discipline or in any field. You can apply in any field except clinical medicine. Okay. Doctors can apply for the Fulbright, but they can apply in hospital administration, epidemiology, anything which is not related directly to the patients. So
And do you need any prior work experience, just like Chevening requires you to
There
have
are
at least
only
2 years?
2 fields, if you are interested in MBA or Masters in Public Policy, then there is a requirement of 2 years minimum experience. Otherwise, fresh graduates they
Fresh
can also apply.
graduates are more
Yeah.
than welcome.
More
And
than welcome to
anyone,
apply.
it's an equitable, inclusive field, anyone from Pakistan can absolutely apply.
Anyone
And
can
they can
apply,
go ahead.
yes.
Okay, couple of questions. Last question each to Dr. Osman and to Dr. Mukhtar, and we'll then open up the floor. Dr. Osman, as we see that there is, of course, a demand for getting the scholarships and studying abroad, I also want to draw your attention to an institution can be only as good as its teachers. So what's the challenge in getting the right professors and the right academics to teach in the quality institutions that we have in our country?
Yes, that's a very good question. Actually, so far, we were just trained as we moved along. So the teachers were PhD doctors who had known how to do research, but they were not trained in teaching. But when they come and join universities back home, the first thing that they have to do is to teach. So that is why at NUST, we have recently established a teaching and learning center. So every teacher who comes back or who joins NUST in the first year, they are given a professional course on how to teach and how people learn, the learning psychology and those kind of things. HEC has also started a few programs in this regard. They are also training the PhD graduates with some teaching skills. So these kind of interventions are really helping out. But this is very important for other universities to work on as well, because teaching is the main component and one of the main objectives of higher education. We have to know how to teach before we stand in front of the
There
students.
exists a gap because we see, and this is not a practice unique to Pakistan, but that supply of not having enough PhDs is very real for the world. And therefore you have created a whole layer of people who are called professors of practice. You may not have a PhD, but if you work for 10 or 12 years, you can still go back and contribute to the teaching realm. My last question to you, Dr. Saab, before we open the floor for questions. You mentioned how our universities' qualifications and our resources are at par with the world. One of the biggest gaps we see is the recognition of the Pakistani qualification. A lot of people are struggling with that. They may have a qualification from one of the leading universities in Pakistan. They may have good years of experience, but when they are trying to transfer their credits or move abroad, a lot of the universities are not recognized. Or is that just a
I
misperception?
think it is not a right perception. It is not like that. It depends which institution are we talking.
Okay.
Every country, they have good institutions, and there are some not good institutions. In Pakistan, we are not different. We
So why
also
doesn't
have-
the HEC shut the not so good universities down?
I wish I should have that instrument. I should have closed many. I have already closed many campuses,
Okay.
closed many universities, but I still have limitation. HEC still have limitation. Otherwise, I should have not allowed many universities to operate in Pakistan. So that is a separate story.
Right.
Coming back to your question, it is not that the quality is a relative term, by the way. As from NUST, my friend, he was mentioning rightly, because your question was about ranking and recognition of Pakistani qualification abroad. Our history is, because the institutions with whom you want to compare my university, Pakistani university, they are more than 100-year-olds. And they have invested huge amount of resources in their university. You know what? In even one UK university budget is more than whole Pakistan higher education budget.
Of course.
So when we are talking apple with apple, so with peanut you will get monkeys always. So the point is that recognition of degrees and credits is also a reciprocal way. It is a country-to-country agreement that when we want to, any Pakistani person going abroad taking the credential from Pakistan, they have to recognize it, they have to accept it, because we are accepting their universities on the face value. Now, the second thing is how much credit is being transferred. That is again within US system. I was in University of California, and at that time there were 9 campuses. Now they have, I think, more than 15, 16. Even within the same universities set up, from one university to another university, they were only maximum giving them those courses transfer which have A or A plus grade. So this is policy issue. Otherwise, As far as the credential is, recognition is concerned, there is not an issue.
And I think this is also a control mechanism. And if they allow the newcomers to come in, and, for example, a lot of people have their immigration policies that allow the people to come in, but they would first want you to integrate, or maybe first want you to spend a little money, get one of their qualifications as a build-up, and then get into the jobs market. Sometimes that happens too.
That is natural, because if you go and look at you said you are in Canada. Even if you have done PhD from state or from Australia, they will not allow you to enter in their system unless you have taken some their qualification from their own institution.
Right.
So that changed from country to country.
True.
Otherwise, generally, this is not a right perception that Pakistani degree is not recognized. They are well recognized. They respect, and our student. By the way, we don't have that of any intellect in Pakistan. Let me share with you. Last year when I came back in HEC, I was told that, and every year European Union offer Erasmus Plus scholarships. Pakistan was number one as far as the total number of scholarships won by Pakistani students. And we were more happy because India, 10 times bigger country from us, they were number two. This year we have our Pakistani students have won 147 scholarships under that scholarship program, and still we are number one. This means Pakistani youth, they have the potential. We have all those natural ingredients. Only enabling environment is missing, which need to be given. And by the way, as a society, as a nation, we have to understand these are our kids. We have to give them education.
Very true.
We are always waiting, British Council, USA, other people, JICA will come and they will help us. No, we should understand, government need to understand, sir, that these are our kids, we have to give them good education. This is our social, moral, ethical responsibility.
I think this is a wonderful note to wind up our conversation. Thank you, Dr. Mukhtar. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Dr. Osman, for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure to dive into this topic. I would love to now open the floor for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand so a mic can be directed your way. And if my colleagues could also WhatsApp me the questions from our online virtual participants. So if you'd like to step forward. And there are many ladies and people. Is there a mic coming in?
Shall I ask?
Come to you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Athar Jamil. I'm working as a head of Rifa Institute of Hospitality and Culinary Arts. The Rifa school, which is catering the needs of hospitality industry. Dr. Osman very rightly mentioned about the skill education, and I'm just taking the privilege of Dr. Mukhtar being here, that why in Pakistan we can have the system of this level 2, level 3 leading to the BS programs, which is happening very much in Europe and other countries. Reason being is that when we ask students only for having a 4-year degree program, they have to be there for 4 years. However, the beauty of this level 2, level 3 and all these programs is that students can actually take a break, go and work in the industry and come back and start from the same point. And particularly this hospitality industry where I have served 25, 26 years, it requires more skilled people. And if we see now in Pakistan, if the landscape of our political is got better, we will have more opportunities in hospitality industry and at the same time in Saudi and Middle East. So just, to Dr. Mukhtar.
Sir, thank you very much. The number one, no doubt that it is the skill which is the buzzword of today and tomorrow.
Yes.
And I agree 100% in days to come, already started. Nobody is checking your degree or piece of paper. They will ask, what do you know? What are the skill sets you have? Come and work here and deliver here. As far as the exit strategy, we do have plan. When we launched this 4-year undergraduate program, from the first day, it is in the system. If people don't implement it or they don't do it, it is a different story. But it is a built-in system that after 2-year education, if somebody want to exit, like bachchiyon ki shaadi ho jati hai, something else, like you said, they want to go in industry, they have the choice, they have legally permission that they can take out after getting associate degree program. Let's see if they are 4-year IT degree, so they can get 2-year bachelor associate degree program and they can exit, go and spend in life in industry or work, and they can come back anytime, suited to him or her. join the 5th semester, and after 2 more years complete the degree 4-year program. So it is not that we don't have this opportunity, we do have opportunity. But the kind of concept or the different openness you are talking, it is the European model, UK and other things, because they have a different dynamics. Our issue is we have a huge bulge of people, population. And then when you create small opportunity, everybody is rushing toward that. My issue is that I do want to have open up thing. I do want to bring a lot of foreign universities here, but those free riders, which are jumping in and they create huge mess in Pakistani education system that we have to take another 5-10 years to fix them there. So we have to go slowly and with a system approach that things should work in a way that there should not be any problem, because at the end of the day, the loser will be our youth, basically.
Very true.
They do have the piece of paper in their hand, but nobody recognizes them. They have not learned anything new. They have not earned any skill set which can give them an opportunity that they can go and market. We recently, by the way, we have created a 2-year undergraduate IT discipline subject, which is inverted in a way that usually our academic courses, especially undergraduate, are that they are mostly theoretical and then some part is practical. But because market is demanding a huge number of demands there are for the IT graduate, especially in Japan, in Korea and other Malaysia and other countries. So why we have created a new 2-year associate degree program where 80% it will be hand-on skill and only 20% will be theoretical part. So these type of new
Very interesting models are coming up.
We are bringing this new education
Very
system,
true.
inshallah, in Pakistan.
Let's take more questions.
Mike is with me.
I'm sorry, where?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you very much. Dr. Sahab, my question
Introduce
is...
yourself, sir, so everybody
My
knows.
name is Munir Ahmed. I'm basically a development consultant. Mostly my work is on climate change and gender empowerment. My question is that, usually our curricula is termed to be not matching with the contemporary needs. And whenever our students have to go abroad and they have to study a year or 2 more, just to match the standard or the level of their universities. So who controls or monitor or check the curricula that is studied in our universities?
Right.
One thing. And my second question is that in most of the universities, like a couple of universities I had the chance to visit out of country, and every year in the summer vacations, they engage their students with the industry for the paid sort of mandatory internships. But unfortunately, our students are not get engaged by the universities with the industry for the paid things. So who will, manage such
Right.
kind of
Thank
things?
you for that
Thank you,
question, sir. I'm going to take a couple of questions before we bring it to the panel to keep it fast moving. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a barrister and special prosecutor at the NAB. My questions are relating to the Fulbright. I have 2 quick questions. One is, if you apply separately, realistically speaking, will the Fulbright application consider those separate admissions? So you apply separately for a master's program and then you are offered a place. And then I saw on the application, the Fulbright application, that there's a section which asks for this question if you've secured admission separately. Would the Fulbright, realistically speaking, consider those admissions? And second is that I got to know, and I knew it previously as well, that there's a bond that Fulbright students sign before they're leaving for the States. What if somebody breaks that bond, secures a sponsor who's willing to sponsor their visa for a job in the States? What happens then? Do they go ahead? Has this happened before? Or do
Then
you...
they become a part of the 1.6% that
Yes.
comes back.
Okay. Thank you.
Ji, Zareen sir, we want to take that one. It's a very interesting one.
Okay, yes, sure. I'll take these 2 questions.
Ji.
First of all,
We'll take the questions and we'll come to you, ma'am. Ji.
first of all, if you have an admission in an American university, that adds to your, make your application more competitive. But again, since Fulbright, once you get selected for the Fulbright, we are responsible for the placement of all our Fulbright grantees. We do find the universities for them, apply to different universities, matching your credentials, and another important thing is cost share offered to the Fulbrighters all over the world. So Fulbright, because funders, the US government is funding this program, and they want to utilize these funds for as many people as possible every year. So not necessarily that if somebody's gotten admission into a US university without any cost share, 100%, no tuition waiver, nothing, that would be difficult for us to pursue, but that definitely makes your application more competitive. Second question was regarding if somebody doesn't come back. It's not easy these days. It used to be previously, maybe 8-10 years ago, when there was a passport photo change and everything else. But you cannot live under the radar anymore in the US especially, or anywhere in the world. You need your social security number, your driving license, for each and everything. So people do think that if they don't come back to Pakistan, or they come back to Pakistan and doesn't complete their residency requirement, what happens? What happens is, while you are in a professional field, whatever field it is, at one point of time, the world is connected these days. Whenever your passport is scanned at any airport for any visa, it will pop up that you didn't complete your residency requirement.
Wow. So you get flagged and your life becomes an episode.
So then it's a matter of discretion for the visa consulate, whatever your visa you are applying for. Whether he or she wants to give you another visa or not, it's up to them. It's very risky.
Right. Sari, you want to comment? Ji.
Because we don't want to give impression that we are gender biased. Because that young lady has asked question, we quickly answer, and this gentleman has asked 2 questions, I have not answered. To your 2 questions. Now you have to remind me what were those questions.
So his question number 1 was, why are the internships not happening?
Number 1, first question was that our students go abroad, and who control the curriculum? Nobody control in Pakistan curriculum. HEC role is to create the minimum standard. Then universities are autonomous. They, with those minimum standards, they provide those curriculum opportunity. Your question was the note that our students go abroad, they have to spend 1 year or 2 years. That is not correct perception, basically. I think if they are going from a proper university to proper university, there is no big issue. They might take some few courses as the garnishing part to make them adaptive in their environment. It is like McDonald's when they came here. If they should have provided the same McDonald's which they give in New York, nobody should have taken them like this at the moment they are taking it. Unless they have garnished those with spices thing, and now every Pakistani is running after that. Second thing was that internship, it is a compulsory part, and especially in few subjects, especially now in technical subject. Now we have made it a compulsory in every subject that they have to do internship. Yes and no, both things. As far as you said that universities are not taking serious now because it is the fittest will survive. The way universities are operating, it is going to be very soon after 1.5 years, things will be totally changed. You don't need to identify the university with the bricks and mortar, it will be something else basically. So many universities which are proactive universities are good universities, they are doing these things, and it is compulsory that people go and do the internship. Of course not paid basically, because in Pakistan we have also a limitation of industrial setup. We have specific Faisalabad, Lahore, Gujranwala, Sheikhupura, if you go in Sindh and Balochistan, other part, areas where they have the cluster of those universities. Not every city they have the industrial area, so that every student can get equal opportunity. That is why government also provide them 50,000 internship program, paid internships, so that the fresh, newly graduate student get some opportunity of working in some industry or some offices to catch up with the rest of the world. So I think things are evolving. It is not that bad. Our perception is whenever we have small thing, like Sidra visited Canada and she is now very much impressed of the thing, those things she is saying. So maybe because it is used to, we always our media always talk about negativity, and we are used to of having negativity, and we enjoy those negative things. If you start looking at our own system, alhamdulillah, in Pakistan, there are many things, good things happening, especially in education sector, in innovation sector, in science and technology. great opportunity, great performance by our youth and our education institution. But yes, because we are a society where we have huge, many problems here, so we always go for best of the best. So it will take some time that we will be best of the best, but inshallah, we are in the right direction. I hope I answer your question.
We have more questions in the panel. This young lady,
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. I am a former NUS student who later went on a Chevening scholarship to England. A lot of people ask me about my experiences education-wise, so I would like to say that there was no stark difference between the quality of education I received in Pakistan at NUST versus England. I feel like the quality of education, the standard, the faculty that I had, everything was amazing. It was at par with the international level education that I received. However, there was one way in which I would say my experience greatly differed, and that was the level of mental health support that I was offered as a student in England versus Pakistan. And when I was a student at NUST, I was significantly younger as compared to when I went for my Chevening scholarship. So my question to both Dr. Mukhtar and Dr. Usman would be, how serious is Pakistan in offering mental health support and counseling to students at the higher education level? Because I feel like padhai jitni achhi bhi ho jaye quality, if students are not feeling well mentally, or if they feel like they don't have support, they're not going to do well. So that's my question. Yeah.
I can quickly answer you with giving you example. I 100% agree with you that institutions need to look after these areas, mentoring, mental health, facilitation, enabling things. You're right. I can give you example. When you are at your home and once in a while one guest or two guests are coming to you, so you can look after them well. When a home like my home, every day you are getting 10 to 15 guests, sometimes you get fed up. You are so tired, you cannot afford to give them extra time. Our issue is the population. I don't know. I think you must be admitting 2,000 students or something like that, plus minus every year. But you are getting how many applications? 60,000, 70,000, something like that. Same thing is true for many other universities. Now, when you are handling 2,000 students, you have a lot of pressure, financial pressure, sustainability, quality, so many other non-issue which our system is bothering us in non-issues thing, wasting so much time there, So university, very frankly, they don't have any time left for the welfare of the students, sport activity, those type of mentoring type of things, which it is a common phenomena in the rest of the world, that they do the counseling, they add psychiatric people, they attach those things, they monitor students, which is must part, I should say, as a teacher. But looking at the ground dynamics, basically, it might take some time when we have less pressure on our university, we have more institution, and the competition will be there. But at the moment, NUST know that we are number one. So why they should care? Which is wrong. I'm not saying that they are doing right thing or anybody else is doing right thing. We have to look after for the youth and welfare because they are our main stakeholder. A university is known by student graduate and the faculty.
So just as you were pointing out that the HSC is going to set standards for how these institutions of the present and the future will look, are you wanting to put in that?
I'm happy that any such type of gathering I go, most of the questions are directed to me. This means HEC is doing something good. Second thing is, whenever there is an issue, when HEC is going to do something, HEC is not the solution, in 100% solution provider, we are just facilitator. It is the responsibility of each one of us. I'm not saying we are not responsible. We are responsible. Universities are responsible. We are responsible. Society is responsible. We have to work together in a holistic way to complement these type of things. As I said in the beginning, creating an enabling environment is the only missing part in Pakistan education institution. Otherwise, I appreciate you said it, that we are not less than anybody. If we can create an enabling environment, we can create such type of thing which you are indicating. I think we will catch up with the rest of the world as far as the...
But Dr. Saab, my question stays unanswered. My question is, just like you're setting up standards for curricula, for the number of PhDs, the kind of academics you want, the kind of university at brick and mortar, just like the young lady asked, are you going to put it as a standard?
It's already there. It is already there when we create ranking or we do the education institution performance kind of review. These things are part of that, those
they are there.
SOPs basically that institutions are supposed to do these type of things. They have to have the counseling part. They need to have the kind of resolving those issues. If somebody have grievances, they need to have independent mechanisms.
Right.
Such type of so many things which are there but in sociology they are dead now. At the moment, people are not implementing them in proper. से कहते हैं ना कि उसकी उसमें implement नहीं हो रहा. Yes, we have to do it.
So the standards are there, and maybe the challenges for implementing.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind words for NUST. I'm very pleased to share that we have a dedicated counseling center now at NUST. It's been there for the last 5 years or so. I don't know when did you graduate, but yeah, must be before that. The center was very active during the COVID days, and we have in-house right now 9 psychologists who are serving the students. There is also a tele-counseling center. So a lot of support given to the students right now at NUST. And again, HEC is incentivizing these things. It's already in their quality assurance framework, so other universities must be also working towards that. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Shall we take
This
more
is
questions?
Mudassir, and I am working with City Schools Network, and
I'll take all 3 and then we'll come to the answers, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I am also studying at a private university here in Islamabad, Zabist, and the thing I faced, as per my observations, there is no proper mechanism to basically analyze or to monitor the performance of professors and lecturers appointed by HEC. Universities don't focus on to gauge the performance of lecturers and professors they are hiring. Secondly, universities don't have hostel facilities, they don't have rooms, they are hiring, they are enrolling many students, but teachers, we can see that according to the international standards, the ratio to pupil to teacher is 1 to 30, but here in Pakistan, the ratio is 1 to 30, but internationally is 1 to 20. So there are a lot of students, but teachers are faculty is very less. Secondly, the HEC funding, that is very shrinked, and basically I am from very far-flung area of Azad Kashmir, and we can see that in Azad Kashmir, the appointment of VCs, there is a lot of political affiliations, and the HEC is a bit politicized in appointment of faculty and VCs.
Beta, issue is this. Let me tell you one frankly. Your question might have some, of course, relevance or also some important thing, but the issue is, this is the problem in Pakistani society. That we don't focus on my own work. I always try to see who is doing what. Selection of vice chancellor is none of your business, none of my business at the moment. I do have a business because I'm heading the Higher Education Commission. The selection of the vice chancellor is the prerogative of the chancellor. Whatever you are saying, yes, there are issues. But why to waste time, especially such type of event? We should talk about something productive which can help us each us. Because are you going to select a vice chancellor? No. Believe me, I'm not going to select a vice chancellor. So why to waste time? Let's talk about those things where we have the commonality and common interest. Otherwise, in Pakistan, whenever I quote this thing in so many TV shows also, when I go for my barber for haircut, he will start just putting that cloth on my side, and then we start talking, Miyan Saab ko aa jana chahiye, Khan Saab ne ye nahi kiya, Modi ne ye nahi kiya, yaar tumhe baal kaatne nahi aate, apna kaam karo, dusron ko chhod. So my point is, you are a young man, you are, mashallah, starting your career. No, don't talk about ye negativity. Pakistan mein badi la chuke. Coming to your school, that properly teachers are not compensated. This is wrong again. Today, a teacher is starting with 100,000 plus salary in the university system, and they can go up to 6-7 lakh rupees per month, which is not a small amount in Pakistani environment. So we should appreciate those things. There is no limit. If you go talking about billion and millions, there is no limit. So keeping in a Pakistani dynamic, this is a very good salary structure in Pakistan. Because in Pakistan, we have learned that जितना ऊंचा बोलेंगे, जितना ऊंचा होगा, उतना ऊंचा होगा, तो उस चक्कर में हम सारे स्ट्राइक पे होते हैं कि नहीं जी पैसे कम है, पैसे कम नहीं है माशाल्लाह. Keeping in view the whatever we are doing, alhamdulillah, NUST professor Sahab is sitting, ask him. Comparatively, we are giving a better salary to university, and especially in public sector, they are comparatively better salary structure. And what was your third point? देखिए बेटा बात यह है कि the system need to work. How far HEC can go, and then if HEC is going, people like you, faculty member, they go on the strike, that who is HEC to interfere in our system? It is the university, like, not because Dr. Saab is sitting here, NUS, they have a very good check and balance system. Nobody can cross those things. That is one extreme, basically. There is another way, nobody checked it. Because there is a mob psychology, हमने association बना ली है, एक दूसरे को challenge करते हैं, strike करते हैं. This is not good. Teachers को ये काम नहीं करना चाहिए. Unfortunately, we are doing in Pakistan. So, we have good things, we have not so many good things also, but we have to live with that, and good thing we recognize that these are not good things. But this doesn't mean that we don't have good things in Pakistan. We have so many good institutions, so many good check and balance. Yes, these are KPIs there are performance evaluation. Yes, in public sector, sir, we do ACRs. I always say annual confidential revenge. It is annual confidential revenge. That thing is not working, basically. We have a different mechanism now. We have criteria, we have selection process, we have given an incentivized TTS system, but again, we fail ourselves. Things are created by government, our institution, but our own system try to break them, that it should not work. So we have to live with these things. With the time, inshallah, things will improve. I agree with you that there should be a very strong mechanism. I agree with you that Vice Chancellor, for that purpose, any appointment should be unmarried, transparent. But we are living in Pakistan. Welcome in Pakistan.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Professor Dr. Shazia Akhtar over here. Should I stand up?
Ma'am, this lady has been waiting for a very long time, and she had her hand up.
Yes, please, you go
Can I
ahead.
please, फिर उसके बाद मैं आपके पास
Thank you
आऊँ?
so very
Sorry.
much. Thank you for
Yes.
appreciating my patience. My comment is very different, and that starts from my introduction. Dr. Beena Akram Khan, medical doctor, MBBS, MD from USA, and then I came back to Pakistan, did my MS-PH, and currently I'm working for sustainable human development through social equity. So my question would be, this is bridging the divide, ensuring access to higher education. We are working in certain ecosystem, right? There is life before entering this higher education, and there's life after that. And that life starts from, I was just telling her, that I opened up my comments and it started from teen day. This is the gender, right? In the morning I was working in the kitchen. So being a woman, being a doctor, but I have to bear with the responsibilities. So Dr. Mukhtar, you were saying that we educate the people for a reason, right? So we educate the people for a reason. We want to create the society which is just, where people know their rights and responsibility and everybody can live in harmony. And the other thing is that people can have their livelihood. So higher education, equity, equality, that would be, I think, more appropriate when we are giving this importance to surveillance, that are we getting the results out of that? Like we have, I think, more than enough of women in our higher education. And Dr. Usman, you were telling us that they are on the higher side of achievement as well. But why we are not seeing our women in the field? Why they are not as much contributive when they come to practical life, right? They are not much in the leadership. Healthcare just is missing on that point. And I'm associate professor of public health. When I am teaching my fourth year medical students, I try to tell them in hidden curriculum how they have to be respectful to their gender responsibilities and their profession. But unfortunately, Pakistan is the one where 50% of Pakistani women doctors leave their work and sit home. So I think life after higher education and life before, we have to take care of that, and if we can embed somehow, Dr. Usman, the way you were taking care of mental health of the student, something
Thank you,
which
Dr.
can...
Saab, a point well taken, because we have to also give
Yeah,
opportunity.
but
I'll just answer.
I just want to give Dr. Usman one credit that I am working on this from research, advocacy, service delivery, and social activism. One wonderful published paper I found was from your social behavioral department.
Good.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Quickly answering your concern, I'm happy that you have spent some time in US and you are here. You know, in US even, which we also benchmark, and rightly so because they have done wonder in higher education, So in US system also there is a glass ceiling effect,
Yeah.
which is not in Pakistan, by the way. Perception is like that we have. Why women are not more here in the leadership role? Because it started late.
No, it's the work as well. Leadership is something higher.
Even in work environment.
Marriage market.
No, I'm coming there. In medical profession especially, our parents send their daughters, our daughters go for the medical profession as a price tag to get good. Shadi achhi jagah ho jaye.
Yeah.
You agree with me? Look how much money, public resources.
Dr. Bride syndrome is already
How
there.
much resources are being used for those women? 70-80% females are in medical colleges. When you go in any class, 80% roughly are the females and the rest 20% are male. And out of those 80%, hardly 20% will come in profession or 15% rest. They will, after marriage, they will stay home. These are the social thing or the choices basically. And of course, there is also the government responsibility. I have already suggested a couple of times to arrange a flex time job for these young doctors so that they should give some time to their family. When their kids are going to school, they can come around 10 or 11, spend time, few hours in outdoor patient by 12, but basically system is so rigid that it is not working. Otherwise, there is no limitation.
This is what I am
This
saying,
is one,
that we
this
have
is
to
one issue.
provide
Yes.
them the support.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is one issue. Second thing is, you said कि rule regulation को follow करना, discipline, जो आपने कहा कि हमारे यहाँ नहीं है ऐसा. I have been in US for 5 years. When I was studying there, I still remember first time I got ticket because at the midnight, I was reaching a point, there was a stop sign. And you know, in US system, they said stop sign means your four wheels should jam there. I just touched the brake and saw nobody's there. I just went to next road. Next week, I got the ticket of $400, $375.
Luckily, I didn't got the ticket. I didn't.
Listen, this was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Because the system was so strong that they were not checking this is student, this is Gharib Admi, this is Amir Admi. System was for everybody. The fine will be to everybody. So from that day, even today, I'm getting over 64-year cross. I always stop at the stop sign, even if nobody is there midnight, because that has been put in my mindset. Here, the more you are resourceful, the more you have the links, the more you will break the rules in Pakistan. This is unfortunate thing.
I'm afraid,
It will come with the time, inshallah.
I'm afraid I'll have to intervene because we're deviating and we have a lot of questions waiting. Yes. First and foremost, I would request, because in the interest of time, we need very crisp questions. We have a lot of speeches and comments masquerading
and repeated
as
questions should be avoided, you know.
So let's do that, and I'm going to try and get other people on the panel to answer
now
them as
let's
well.
give some mail also.
Just one question, because I've listened to the entire session and I'm part of academia for the past 20 to 25 years now. I'm presently HOD Management Sciences at Zebist, Islamabad.
Where?
So, Zebist, Islamabad.
Okay.
Yes. So my question is that I was just listening to the entire discussion. I'm first of all very thankful to the august panel for touching upon so many points in the, I think, shortest possible time frame. So that is what, when questions, you are getting questions, that's the success of this session. So congratulations for conducting such a successful panel discussion. Just 2 or 3 pain points based on my experience. I'm a corporate trainer.
Question, please.
Yes, which is a question actually. Yes. I just want to ask you about integration and cooperation, which is missing. NAST is doing a lot, Zebist is doing a lot, but where is that collaborative effort of all the universities? If we are 250 universities, and if we are not collaborating, so that's where the missing link is. My second question is that, yes, artificial intelligence, but you need to be intelligent to use artificial intelligence. So you have created it. Are we actually creating that intelligence in the faculty and youth or not? That's a question. And my third and last question is training of the trainer. When we are talking about micro-credentials and we're talking about skill sets of the student, are those skill sets present in me and all the august and prominent faculty?
Very true.
That's training of the trainer. So if HSC, government, all the stakeholders, the government of Pakistan, the HSC, the universities, and the fourth is industry. If they don't have a common platform where they are going to sit and collaborate, I think that we will keep on discussing these problems.
So each of your questions is actually like a whole subject. So ma'am, in the interest of time, I'm going to pick the first one up, which is about integration. And Dr.
Yes.
Usman, if you'd like to
These
comment
are some
on
of
that.
the questions to the
Ji,
August
bilkul.
panel.
Ji,
Thank you
bilkul.
so much.
Of course, we'll have an informal one after, and maybe our panelists would be kind enough to give some time.
Collaboration is the key. I would definitely agree with you on this regard. We have to work with the universities, we have to work with the government, we have to work with the industry, and we have to bring all the stakeholders on a common platform, as you mentioned. Cannot agree more. I mean, what we are doing at NAST regarding this, first of all, we have established a science and technology park on the campus. Working with the industry has always been a challenge for us and many universities in the country. When we have brought industry on home, on our campus, the good thing is that they are also kind of realizing what are the benefits in working with the academia. So they hire our students while they are students as interns, then they finally shortlist them as their employees later on as well. We are also benefiting because our students are getting the industrial exposure. So there's so many gains that we have got from this initiative that we have done. Similarly, we are reaching out to not only international partners, but local partners as well. We have to link together. There have to be conferences, events where people with same research interests, they have to come together and talk to one another. So it's just a matter of every university, in my opinion, they have to take lead and they have to actually take the further steps. I mean, HEC has provided us a platform that all these universities, the policy framework is there, but then there is a liability or the responsibility of the university that they have to step up and they have to start collaborating.
Thank you so much for that. There's a lady.
تزین اختر خیر ڈاکٹر مختار احمد صاحب سے میرا سوال ہے. میرے آگے اصل میں 3 خواتین کو میں نے باری دے دی ہے, اس لیے ڈاکٹر مختار صاحب, میرا نام تزین اختر ہے. میں کوئی بھی نہیں ہوں, مجھے آپ سمجھ لیجئے میں ان والدین کا نمائندہ ہوں جن کے بچے پاکستان میں پڑھ رہے ہیں اور وہ والدین اپنا پیٹ کاٹ کر ابھی بھی ان کو امید ہے 75 برس بعد بھی. یہ آپ کا دوسرا ٹینیور ہے HEC میں. آپ نے پچھلے ٹینیور میں کنسورشیم بھی بنایا سو کالڈ, اور آپ نے اس وقت بھی دعوے تھے کہ بہتری ہوگی. کیا بہتری ہوئی ہے مجھے یہ بتائیے کہ آپ جو چارٹر دے رہے ہیں دھڑا دھڑ یونیورسٹیوں کو, وہ کس طرح دے رہے ہیں؟ آپ دور دراز کو چھوڑ دیں, اسلام آباد میں پلازوں کے اندر یونیورسٹیاں قائم ہیں, وہ کیسے قائم ہیں, ان کو کس نے چارٹر کیا؟ آپ کی آخری میٹنگ کب ہوئی تھی پرائیویٹ یونیورسٹیوں کی انتظامیہ سے؟ آپ نے اب تک کوئی ایک ایکشن لیا ہے کسی ایک پرائیویٹ یونیورسٹی کے خلاف؟ یہاں پہ الخیر یونیورسٹی دھڑا دھڑ ڈگریاں بانٹتی رہی, اس کے فارغ التحصیل اب تک نیب کا DG لاہور جو ہے وہ الخیر کی یونیورسٹی کی ڈگری کے اوپر لگا, اور پھر وہ ثابت ہوا کہ وہ یونیورسٹی کا چارٹر جو ہے وہ نہیں دیا گیا, وہ غلط یونیورسٹی ہے. وہ بھی جاب کے اوپر ہے, PTV میں بھی بہت سے جاب کے اوپر ہیں. اس حوالے سے کچھ آپ بتا سکتے ہیں؟ ہمارے طالب علموں نے 147 لے کر اسکالرشپس نمبر 1 پوزیشن حاصل کی. یہ بتائیے آپ نے کیا کیا؟ آپ نے ہمارے کتنے طالب علموں کو اسکالرشپ دیے؟ اور جو اسکالرشپس اب تک آپ دے چکے ہیں, آپ بتا سکتے ہیں کہ ان میں سے کتنے HEC کے افسروں کے بچے بھتیجے بھانجیاں ہیں, یا وہ سارے آؤٹ سائیڈر ہیں؟ یا اس حوالے سے کیا آپ کی پالیسی ہے؟
میں نے سن لیا بھائی, آپ ذرا ادھر میری اب دل کھول کے سوال جواب بھی سنیے.
جی
دیکھیں, آپ اس کا تعلق کس ڈپارٹمنٹ سے ہے؟ میڈیا سے ہے, کہاں سے آپ؟
میں نے عرض کیا میں کوئی بھی نہیں ہوں, میں والدین کا نمائندہ ہوں جن کے بچے پڑھ رہے ہیں.
ہم بھی والدین ہیں, ہم سارے والدین کے نمائندے.
میرا خیال ہے یہ کافی ہے, یہ ایک اسٹیک ہولڈر ہے جو ادھر بیٹھا ہوا ہے.
چلیں سن لیں, پھر سن لیں اپنی جواب.
جی میں سن رہا ہوں.
آخری سوال سے جواب دیتا ہوں کہ ایک بھی میری اپنی 5 بیٹیاں ساری پڑھتی ہیں, کچھ پڑھ رہی ہیں, کوئی پڑھ چکی ہیں, کبھی HEC کے کسی اسکالرشپ پہ میں نے ان کو اپلائی بھی نہیں کرنے دیا. ٹھیک ہے, میں مثال دیتا ہوں, اپنے گھر سے شروع کرتے ہیں. یہ جو ہر ایک کو ہم نے بنا لیا ہے کہ وہ غلط ہے, تو آپ نے یہ کیا, آپ نے یہ کیا, آپ نے یہ کیا. فنگر پوائنٹنگ بڑی آسان ہے میرے بھائی. بات یہ ہے کہ سنیں ابھی آپ میری بات سن لیں نا, میں نے آپ کی دل کھول کے سنی نا, آپ میری سن لیں. آپ کہ آپ ایک باپ ہیں, آپ کا بچے کدھر کہاں پڑھے ہیں, اس کس ادارے میں؟ نہیں ثانوی نہیں ہے, ریلیونٹ, دیکھیں ریلیونٹ ہے. پاکستان میں الخیر بھی آپ نے ذکر کیا, مجھ سے آپ نے کہا کتنے ادارے بند کیے, 250 کیمپس پچھلے دور میں بند کر کے گیا ہوں. میں نے سزا جو بھگتی ہے پچھلے 4 سال صرف اس وجہ سے بھگتی ہے کہ میں نے غلط ادارے بند کیے, میں نے میرٹ کو اہمیت دلوائی ہے, اس وجہ سے میں نے سفر بھی کیا ہے ایز اے میری فیملی نے اور میں نے بھی, اور میں ایم پراؤڈ آف اٹ. کسی پہ احسان نہیں کیا, میں نے اپنے اللہ کو راضی کیا کرنے کے لیے کیا, اور آج بھی کر رہا ہوں. کتنا کو اسکالرشپ دیا ہے, 40% انویسٹمنٹ جو ہائر ایجوکیشن میں پچھلے 22 سال میں ہوئی ہے وہ اسکالرشپ پہ گئی ہے. یہ جتنے لوگ بیٹھے ہوئے نا, بہت سارے ادھر یہاں سے ابھی وہ بچیاں اٹھ گئی ہیں, وہ بہت سارے HEC کے اسکالرشپ پہ ہیں. میں یہ لکھ کے گارنٹی کرتا ہوں, دیکھیں نیچے پروسیس میں کہیں غلطی ہو میں اس کی قسم نہیں اٹھا سکتا. چیئرمین ڈاکٹر عطا سے لے کے آج تک ED جتنے سینئر لوگ ہیں, ایک بھی کسی کو ہم نے میرٹ کے ہٹ کے اسکالرشپ نہیں دیا. میرے پاس بچے اس وقت بھی, اس مشکل وقت میں بھی 3000 بچے پاکستانی باہر پڑھ رہے ہیں, جبکہ کھانے کو پیسے نہیں تھے لوگوں کے پاس. ہم نے میک شور کیا کہ ان کو ٹائم پہ اسٹائپنڈ ملے, ان کے وہ بچے میرے ہیں سارے. لیکن جس طرح جو آپ کی جس طرح اشارہ کر رہے ہو نا, ایسی بات نہیں ہے. ہر بندہ چور نہیں ہے پاکستان میں. یہ بڑا آسان ہے کسی کو چور کہہ دینا, کسی کو ڈاکو کہہ دینا, یہ دوسرے کو کرٹیسائز کر لینا. میری آج سنے نا پوری بات, ابھی سننے بھی تھا پہلے, میں نے آپ کے بولتا نہیں, درمیان میں نہیں بولا. آپ نے جتنی تقریر کرنی تھی کر لی نا اپنی, آپ میری سنیں. جہاں تک آپ نے کہا جی کہ اس کا یونیورسٹیاں کیوں نہیں بند کی ہیں, کیمپس بھی بند کیے ہیں. میں نے بڑی بڑی یونیورسٹیوں کے 30 پروگرام PhD پچھلے دور میں بند کیے. آج بھی پبلک سیکٹر یونیورسٹی بھی بند کی, پرائیویٹ بھی بند کی, کیمپس بھی بند کر رہا ہوں. بٹ وی آر لیونگ ان سم سوسائٹی ویئر 2 دن نہیں ہوتی تو اسٹے لے کے سارے آ جاتے ہیں. الخیر کی بات کی آپ نے, 98,000 انہوں نے ڈگریاں ایشو کی ہیں, غلط کی ہیں, میں مانتا ہوں. میں نے روکا, میں چلا گیا, ساری چیزیں ٹھیک ہو گئیں. ٹھیک ہے, کیونکہ آپ نے مجھے پوچھا نا تو میں آپ کو اپنی جواب دوں گا. سسٹم میں فلاز ہیں, سسٹم میں فلاح ہیں بھائی میرے. یہیں آپ بھی بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں, میں بھی بیٹھا ہوں. مجھے آپ کا صرف چشمہ چمکتا ہوا نظر آ رہا ہے, آپ کو شاید بڑا کوئی نظر آ رہا ہو. کہنے کا مقصد ہے کہ دیکھنے والی آنکھ چاہیے. ایسا نہیں ہے کہ پاکستان میں ہر طرح غلط ہے. پاکستان میں ہائر ایجوکیشن میں کام ہوا, پاکستان کی ہائر ایجوکیشن میں اس سے بہت بہتر کام ہو سکتا تھا, لیکن ڈیو ٹو سرٹن لمیٹیشن ہم اس لیول پہ نہیں آ سکے. لیکن الحمدللہ بہت بہتر سسٹم بنے ہوئے ہیں. پاکستانی کی یونیورسٹیوں میں داخلوں کے لیے سارے لوگ آ کے پوچھتے ہیں, نہ سے پوچھیں کتنی سفارشیں کراتے ہیں. نہیں مانتے تو برے ہو جاتے ہیں, مانیں گے پھر تو سب کے لیے اچھے ہیں. تو برے ہیں تو اس لیے اس کا مطلب ہے کچھ کام کر رہے ہیں. برے اس لیے ہیں کہ ہم میرٹ پہ کمپرومائز نہیں کرتے, نہ ایڈمیشن میں جاتے ہیں, نہ کبھی ہم نے کسی کو سفارش مانی, نہ الحمدللہ ہم سفارش کرتے ہیں. پوچھ لیجئے, یہ نس بھی بیٹھا ہوا ہے, باقی لوگ بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں مجھے جو جانتے ہیں یا HEC کو جانتے ہیں, ایسا نہیں کہتے ہوتے کہ جی آپ نے کیا کیا, آپ نے کیا کیا. آپ آئیں تو صحیح, آپ کو بتائیں کیا کیا کیا. میں آپ نے مجھ سے پوچھا نا کہ آپ نے کیا کیا, تو HEC کی, HEC میں ہی بات کر رہا ہوں کہ HEC نے کیا یہ سارا کام, میں اکیلا کیا ہوں. میں نے ایز اے چیئر پرسن HEC جواب دے رہا ہوں کہ HEC نے اچھے کام کیے ہیں, بہت اچھے بھی ہو سکتے تھے. ابھی آتے ہیں کہ آپ نے کہا کہ یونیورسٹیوں میں کیمپس آپ نے ڈگری چارٹر دے دیے. کوئی میرا خیال ہے کہ میکسیمم یونیورسٹیوں کے پاس اپنی یونیورسٹیاں ہیں, اپنے کیمپسز ہیں, ان کو جن کے پاس چارٹرڈ ہے. ہاں افیلیشن کے لیے آپ کہہ سکتے ہیں, جس کی وجہ سے میں نے آتے ساتھ نئی یونیورسٹیوں کے لیے ریکویسٹ کی, گورنمنٹ کو نہیں بنائیں جی, افیلیشن کو بین کر دیا کہ نہیں افیلیشن ہو سکتی جب تک سسٹم نہ بنے, اور چیزوں کو سٹریم لائن کرنے کی کوشش کروں گی. یہی کر سکتے ہیں نا. مجھے دکھ ہوتا ہے کہ جب آپ جو بندہ کھڑا ہو کے مسئلے میں سوال کرتا ہے, جب ان سے سوال کریں وہ کہتے ہیں نہیں ہم سوسائٹی کا حصہ ہیں. بھائی ہم بھی سوسائٹی کا حصہ ہیں نا, ہم کہاں سے آئے ہیں. ٹھیک ہے نا, آپ ادھر بیٹھ کے تو اچھے سوال کر لو, میں ویلکم کرتا ہوں. لیکن میں کہتا ہوں کہ تالیاں بجوانے کے لیے میں اچھی باتیں اور بھی کر سکتا ہوں, لیکن میں وہ کروں گی نہیں. نہیں, میں نے آپ سے کہا ہوتا ہے, شوق ہوتا ہے نا کہ تالیاں بجے. ذرا کسی محفل کی جان ہی نہیں ہوتی جب تک تالی نہ بجے. تو جو بھی تالی بھی بجاتے ہیں ان کو بھی سوچنا چاہیے کہ یار اپنے اداروں کی تہذیب نہیں کرتے, اچھے کام ہو رہے ہیں پاکستان میں, آپ کو خود انکریج کرنا چاہیے. دنیا پھر انکریج کرتی ہے. وہ کہتے ہیں یہ تو گھر میں ان کے لوگ ان کے خلاف باتیں کرتے ہیں. باتیں تو بڑے آسان ہیں بھائی, اٹھا کے دیکھ لیں نیوز پیپر, اٹھا کے دیکھ لیں میڈیا. لیکن ایسی بات نہیں ہے. الحمدللہ پاکستان میں اچھے ادارے ہیں, اچھے ادارے بن بھی رہے ہیں, اچھے ادارے بنے بھی ہیں. راتوں رات سارے ایسے نہیں یہاں ہوتے جہاں پہنچتے ہیں, ان کے ساتھ ٹائم لگتا ہے. 20 سال کا ٹائم کوئی بھی زندگی کا حصہ کسی بھی ایجوکیشن سیکٹر کا یا ہائر ایجوکیشن میں یا یونیورسٹی کے لیے اتنا بڑا ٹائم نہیں ہے. لیکن سیم ٹائم وہ نظر آتا ہے کہ ٹھیک راستے پہ جا رہے ہیں کہ نہیں جا رہے ہیں. میں یہ کہتا ہوں کہ اگر 100% نہیں تو 70-80% صحیح کام ہو رہا ہے, لیکن 100% ہونا چاہیے.
بالکل بالکل
آپ بجا لیں تالیاں. تھینک یو ویری مچ.
نہیں, ناٹ جسٹ دیٹ, اور دوسرا ایک ہماری نیشنل ہابی بھی بن چکی ہے کہ ہم جب سوال کرتے ہیں یا اسٹیٹمنٹ بھی دیتے ہیں تو ہم مفروضوں کی بنیاد پہ
انہوں نے بڑے عرصے سے ہاتھ کھڑا کیے ہوئے تھے, ان کو بولیں. جی بیٹا,
بائی کیپنگ شارٹ, میں بالکل مختصر کر کے ایک سوال کروں گا کہ میں یہاں پہ, میرا نام طیب ہے, میں یوتھ پارلیمنٹ اسلام آباد کیبنٹ کو ریپرزینٹ کر رہا ہوں یہاں پہ. تو ہمیں کافی اپلیکیشنز یا کافی جو ہمارے چیئرمین صاحب تک مطلب بہت سے ایسے پرابلمس پہنچتے ہیں جو اسٹوڈنٹس کو یونیورسٹی لائف فیس ہوتے ہیں, لیکن وہ ہمارے پاس کوئی ایسا ادارہ, کوئی اسٹوڈنٹ آرگنائزیشن, کوئی یونین ہمارے پاس ایسی نہیں ہے جس کو ہم اپنے مسائل بتا سکیں. اور جو پرائیویٹ یونیورسٹیز کا جو ایٹیٹیوڈ ہے وہ ہم جو فیس کر رہے ہیں وہ ہم آپ کو بتا نہیں سکتے کہ ہم اگر ہمارے پاس اتنی طاقت ہو, یا ایز اے اسٹوڈنٹ بات کر رہا ہوں جو سب کی طرف سے جن کو یہ پرابلم فیس ہیں, کہ ہمارے پاس اتنی طاقت نہیں ہے کہ ہم 2 لاکھ 3 لاکھ لائر کو دیں, اس کے کیس بھی لڑیں اور پھر یونیورسٹی فٹافٹ ہمیں سسپینشن کے لیٹر دے. تو اس لیے ہمارے پاس کوئی ایسی آرگنائزیشن نہیں ہے کہ جہاں پہ ہم اپنے جینون کیسز لے کے جا سکیں. اور دوسری بات کہ اگر آپ یونیورسٹی میں اس کا وہ ڈیٹا نکال کے دیکھیں کہ کتنے بچے ہیں جو سنڈے والے دن سسپینڈ کیے گئے کورسز سے, کتنے بچے ہیں جنہوں نے پیپرز دیے لیکن ان کے فائنل میں جو ہے وہ وڈرا کا آیا کہ آپ نے تو پڑھا ہی نہیں ہے. اور جب وہ ہم وائس چانسلر تک جاتے ہیں تو ہمیں ان کے آگے وہ کھڑے ہوتے ہیں جو اندر تو جانے نہیں دیتے. ایچ او ڈی صاحب کہتے ہیں کہ یہ وائس چانسلر صاحب کے علاوہ کوئی حل نہیں کر سکتا. یہ پرائیویٹ یونیورسٹیز میں بہت زیادہ ایشوز ہیں. تو یہاں پہ میں کیپٹل اسٹوڈنٹس آرگنائزیشن.
تھینک یو. دیکھیں, ایک تو یہ میں آپ سے ریکویسٹ کروں کہ کمپلین فار دا سیک آف کمپلین یا کرٹیسزم فار دا سیک آف کرٹیسزم نہیں ہونا چاہیے, لیکن اپنے رائٹس کو آپ اچھے طریقے سے بھی بتا سکتے ہو. ایک تو ہمارا کلچر بن چکا نا کہ جتنا میں اونچا بولاں گا, جتنا میں غصے سے بات کروں گا, گالی دے کے کروں گا, شاید اثر ہو جائے گا. ایسی بات نہیں ہے. آپ کا جو کنسرن ہے جینون کنسرن ہے. آپ کو پتا ہونا چاہیے پڑھے لکھے بچے کہ کہاں پہ کمپلین کی جا سکتی ہے. پی ایم کا پورٹل بنا ہوا ہے جہاں دنیا جہاں کی کمپلین ہوتی ہے, ہزاروں کی تعداد میں روز پورے 3 ڈیڈیکیٹڈ سٹاف رکھے ہوئے ہم نے, کیونکہ ہم سے پوچھا جاتا ہے کہ اتنی کمپلین آئی تھی آپ نے جواب کیوں نہیں دیا. پھر آپ ڈائریکٹ ایچ ای سی کو بھی لکھ سکتے ہو. اور الحمدللہ جو ایچ ای سی کو جانتے ہیں جا کے دیکھیے, وہاں چیئرمین کے آفس کے باہر کوئی نہیں روکتا آپ کو. اوپن ڈور پالیسی ہے. ایگزیکٹو ڈائریکٹر کو آپ مل سکتے ہو, کسی کو بھی مل سکتے ہو. اف یو ہیو جینوئن کنسرن جسٹ سینڈ اس, وی ول ٹاک ود دی یونیورسٹیز. کیونکہ ہمارے لیے سب سے امپورٹنٹ کون ہے, ہماری یوتھ ہے, جن کے لیے ساری فیسلٹیشن کریٹ کرنے کی کوشش کی جا رہی ہے. جو بلین آف روپیز اسٹیٹ انویسٹ کر رہی ہے, کس لیے کر رہی ہے کہ ہماری یونیورسٹیاں اچھی بنے, ہمارے اسٹوڈنٹ کو اچھی انوائرمنٹ ملے, ہماری اسٹوڈنٹ کو اچھی فیسلٹیشن ملے, تاکہ وہ اپنے آپ کو اس قابل بنا سکیں کہ پھر اپنے پاکستان کے لیے مل کے کام کر سکیں. تو یو ہیو رائٹ, پبلک سیکٹر یونیورسٹی میں بھی ایشو ہے, پرائیویٹ میں بھی ایشو کنسرن ہوتے ہیں, آتی ہیں ہمارے پاس کمپلین, ہم اس کو ایڈریس بھی کرتے ہیں. آپ کو بھی کمپلین, آپ تو ویسے بھی نیشنل اسمبلی میں بیٹھے ہوئے, یوتھ پروگرام جو ڈپٹی اسپیکر صاحب نے شروع کیا مجھے پتا ہے, تو آپ ہر وقت ہم بھی ادھر ہوتے ہیں, تو ادھر ہمیں دے دیں کیا ایشوز ہیں, یا انہیں کو دے دیں, وہ ہمیں پہنچا دیں گے کیا ایشوز ہیں, ہم انشاءاللہ ایڈریس کر لیں گے. آپ کا نام بھی نہیں آئے گا کہ آپ کو کوئی زیادتی کرے آپ کے ساتھ. ٹھیک ہے.
لاسٹ کوسچن.
یہ بچی بڑی چھوٹ سے کہہ رہی ہے, بڑے دیر سے سیکنڈ لاسٹ کرنے.
سارے لوگ
اچھا, میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ میں ابھی بتا رہا تھا ان کو کہ میں کسی فنکشن میں جاتا ہوں, سارے کوسچن مجھے آتے ہیں تو میں امبیرس فیل کرتا ہوں کہ باقی لوگ کہیں گے ہم کیوں آئے ہوئے ہیں. یار ادھر بھی سوال کرو نا, سارے مجھ سے کرنے. جی بیٹا آپ بولو.
I am Naushaba Abid from Qaid-e-Azam University. I just want to say کہ انشورنگ ایکسیس کی جہاں تک بات کی جاتی ہے تو ایکسیس ٹو ایجوکیشن تو ہے یونیورسٹی ایجوکیشن تک. آپ کے پاس سندھ سے, بلوچستان سے اور ڈفرینٹ انڈر پریویلیج ایریاز سے بھی لوگ پڑھنے کے لیے آ رہے ہیں. بٹ دا ایشو از کہ جب وہ ڈگری کر لیتے ہیں تو ان کو یہ نہیں پتا ہوتا کہ ہم نے اس ڈگری کا کرنا کیا ہے. یہاں پہ اسلامیات, پاکستان اسٹڈیز, انگلش کو جو ہے وہ ایز اے کمپلسری سبجیکٹ پڑھایا جاتا ہے. تو کیا یہ پاسبل نہیں ہے کہ کوئی اس طرح کا جو کیریئر کاؤنسلنگ سے ریلیٹڈ کوئی ایک چیز انکلوڈ کی جائے جس میں ان کو بتایا جائے کہ ان کی ڈگری کی اپلیکیبلٹی کیا ہے, یعنی کہ ایک یونیورسٹی کی رسپانسبلٹی نہ بھی ہو انٹرنشپ کروانا, تو اسٹوڈنٹس کو خود پتہ ہو کہ انہوں نے کہاں پہ اپلائی کرنا ہے اور انہوں نے آگے جا کے اس ڈگری کا کرنا کیا ہے. سیکنڈلی مائی کوشچن از کہ جو آپ کا ہے اسٹوڈنٹس میں ایپٹیچیوڈ نہیں ہوتا کسی سبجیکٹ کو پڑھنے کا, اور وہ سبجیکٹ سلیکٹ کر لیتے ہیں دوستوں کی دیکھا دیکھی یا پھر پیرنٹس کا پریشر یا جو بھی سوسائٹی میں, جیسے انہوں نے برائڈل سنڈروم کی بات کی میڈیکل پروفیشن میں. تو کچھ اس طرح سے سسٹم نہیں ہو سکتا کہ آپ کا فرسٹ سیکنڈ سیمسٹر میں ایپٹیچیوڈ دیکھا جائے اسٹوڈنٹس کو اور ان کو پھر ان پروگرامز میں بھیجا جائے جہاں پہ وہ رائٹلی پرفارم کر سکیں, کیونکہ ہم لوگ 5th لارجسٹ پاپولیشن ہے, اور 5th لارجسٹ پاپولیشن ہوتے ہوئے اگر اتنی زیادہ یوتھ جو ہماری ہے وہ کچھ بھی نہ کرے اور 10 بجے جو ہے وہ سو کے اٹھے اور 2 بجے جو ہے وہ رات کو سوئے, تو یعنی کہ اس کا کوئی فائدہ نہیں ہے اس یوتھ کا, وہ آپ کا ٹائم ویسٹ کر رہی ہے.
تھینک یو بیٹا. ایشو یہ ہے کہ ایجوکیشن کیوں لیتے ہیں, 2-3 آبجیکٹیو ہے نا. ایک تو لائیولیہڈ کے لیے, یس ہمارے یہاں جیسے ملک کے لیے تو جاب کرنی ہے جی, اور آنے والے جو ہماری پاپولیشن ہے اتنی جابس تو ہیں نہیں, ہم تو بڑے عرصے, بلکہ اب تو اسینشیل ہم نے انڈر گریجویٹ لیول پہ ایک انٹرپرینورشپ کا کورس انٹروڈیوس کر دیا ہے کہ ڈونٹ گو فار جابس, جاب سیکر نہیں چاہیے ہمیں, جاب کریٹر چاہیے. اور ماشاءاللہ بہت سے بچے بچیاں اس وقت ہماری یونیورسٹیوں کے دے ہیو کریٹڈ سچ اے میریکل کائنڈ آف کمپنیز بنائی ہیں, $1 ملین کی کمپنی بنا کے کام کر رہے ہیں اور سینکڑوں لوگوں کو جابس کی اپرچونٹی دے رہے ہیں. تو یہ تو ایک تو بڑا. پھر دوسرا یہ اچھی بات نہیں ہے کہ بندہ ماسٹر کرنے آ جائے بلوچستان سے اٹھ کے قائد اعظم یونیورسٹی میں اور کہ جی مجھے بتائیں اس کو کرنا کیا ہے, کچھ سوچ کے آئے ہو نا کہ ویسے ہی آگے تھے. تو یہ ہر چیز تو نہیں کسی نے بتانی نا, یہ آپ نے یہ راستے تلاش کرنے ہیں اور اس کے لیے ایکسپلور کرنا ہے. اور نیچرلی یونیورسٹیز کا کیریئر کاؤنسلنگ کے ڈپارٹمنٹ ہوتے ہیں ہمارے پاس, اور ایک ہیں آفیسز آف ریسرچ انوویشن کمرشلائزیشن کے, اور انکوبیشن سینٹر آپ کی کتنے ہر یونیورسٹی میں ہم نے بنائے ہیں. تو انٹریکٹ کرنا چاہیے, اپنے ٹیچر سے بات کریں, کولیگ سے بات کریں, اسٹوڈنٹ سے بات کریں, اور آج کل سوشل میڈیا میں ہر چیز اویلیبل ہے, دیکھتے ہیں آپ. تو اپرچونٹیز ہیں بیٹا, لیکن اس کے لیے آگے بڑھیں. آپ کو پاس بیسک انگریڈینٹ آ گئی, ڈگری آ گئی, اب آپ نے اس کی میپنگ کرنی ہے کہ اس کو کہاں جا کے یوٹیلائز کرنا ہے. ٹھیک ہے, تو رستے بڑھیں, انشاءاللہ اللہ خیر کرے گا. جی بیٹا لاسٹ کوشچن. یس بیٹا, یہ بھی میرے لیے کوشچن ہے. چلیں
سلیم سر. جی.
Against sexual harassment. So I want to know what you're doing about that. Are relevant policies being enacted and implemented by the universities? Because I have been a student, I graduated in 2021. I know in none of the universities we have a committee or people to deal with issues of sexual harassment. And you talked about enabling environment. I think this is one of the issues which is faced by women and men as well, which prevents them from getting education. So is there anything that HEC is doing to prevent that?
لا بن چکا ہوا ہے ہراسمنٹ پہ اوپر, اور اس کے تحت پالیسیز کو ہر یونیورسٹی کی بائنڈنگ ہے, اڈاپٹ کرایا ہوا ہے. اور ایچ ای سی لیول پہ بھی ایک کمیٹی بنی ہوئی ہے کہ اینی سچ ٹائپ آف تھنگ ہیپننگ از امیڈیٹلی رپورٹڈ اینڈ امیڈیٹلی ریسپونڈڈ. many people have been kind of identified these type of thing. بڑے بڑے سینئر پروفیسروں کو نوکری سے نکالا گیا, ان کے اوپر corrective ایکشن کیے گئے. پالیسی از دیئر, امپلیمنٹیشن بھی ہو رہی ہے. تھوڑی سی ہمت کرنی پڑتی ہے اور برے لوگوں کو تو ختم کیا جا سکتا ہے انشاءاللہ when they know that گورنمنٹ نے آلریڈی لا بن چکا ہوا ہے. اس پہ انڈیپینڈنٹ کمیشن ہے جو مانیٹرنگ بھی کرتا ہے, اور ایچ ای سی نے بھی اس پہ اوپر بڑا کام کیا ہوا, اور وی کنٹینیو مانیٹر دوز تھنگ اینڈ وی ڈو فیسیلیٹیٹ دیٹ.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir Salim, I wanted to talk about the Fulbright scholarship, and there's a requirement of giving GRE. And right now GRE is for like 65K, and your target is the unprivileged people in the society. Do you think this could limit the chances of so many people who cannot actually afford GRE to apply for Fulbright scholarship? And you have to submit it with the application. So it's not even like once you have been selected, you can give it later on. So do you think it limits the opportunities for so many people to apply for it in the first place?
You think it becomes a barrier?
Sorry. I totally agree with you. It limits, definitely it does. But there are two other ways to look at it. One, there was a year in 2020 when everything was closed down, our testing centers were shut down, and we exempted GRE for that year. That year alone, we received regularly, I can share it with you, regularly every year we receive applications, 2,000 to 2,500 applications, somewhere around that, for the Fulbright. That year alone, we received 19,000 applications. Okay? So it was really difficult for us. Other thing is, American universities, US universities, they require GRE for not all of them, but then You are just simply discarding out all the Ivy League universities because they require that. And we do send people to those universities as well, those who have their credentials matching them. People do go to Harvard, people do go to UCLA, people do go to Berkeley every year, a few of them. So that is one thing. Other thing is that now with the conversion rate and everything, GRE is a $60,000 test, and 2 years master is a $100,000 degree, which is almost 3.5 crore रुपए.
नहीं, इसको एक दूसरी तरह भी बेटा इसको एड्रेस करने की जरूरत है. You know how much a scholarship is costing under Fulbright, because government of Pakistan is also partner there. We are also putting some money there. 35 to 65 million. Am I right, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Average 35 to 60 million. You are inspiring to get 35 to 60 million from the state or the World Bank or the US government also. तो बेटा थोड़ा सा दिल बढ़ना करना ना, मुफ्त लूंगी 2 लूंगी, मतलब 65K is not a big thing as compared to what you will be getting after that. कोई बात नहीं. When I started with 2,600 rupees salary, you know, वो टाइम की बात है ना, लेकिन थोड़ा सा दिल बड़ा करना चाहिए, कुछ खर्चे करने चाहिए, अल्लाह मियाँ रास्ते खोलता है, ठीक है? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. May we hand this over back to Komal. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for this wonderful panel. Sarah was here, Dr. Saab is here, taking all, like 90% of our questions for us. Thank you very much for it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Present a token of appreciation to our panelists. First up, we have Dr. Usman Hassan. Thank you so much. First up, we have Dr. Usman Hassan. Next up, we have Mr. Salim Abdul Razak. Ms. Sarah Pervez. Dr. Mukhtar Ahmed.
You deserve the bigger one because you defended. In being senior, you are also more responsible than the others.
Always very, very appreciated.
Of course, we have our host, Ms. Sidra Iqbal.
First and the last.
Mr. Salim Abdul Razak. And Dr. Usman Hassan. And last but not least, Ms. Sidra Iqbal. With Rabta, we hope the convening power of Serena's diplomacy initiative allows us to bring together individuals and organizations to inform and engage in advancing debate. Thank you for joining us. That's all from our side.